In one of my recent Payday 3 videos, I mentioned that the game has surprisingly decent build variety. It just doesn't encourage you to actively seek out those unique builds. In the comments, of course, people were wondering what the hell I was on about, as all they'd ever seen online was different shades of the same armoured assault rifle blandness. So I guess I'd better put my money where my mouth is and showcase 3 of the most interesting and strongest builds you can run in Payday 3 to keep things at least somewhat fresh. And think of it this way, with Update 2.0 coming shortly and bringing with it the loud-only classic that is Cuckoff, now would be a good time to hop back on the game and try out a few new builds, with pure armor one-shot setups surely receiving the imminent nerf hammer. Oh, before I jump into build number 1, I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Lucky's Best Medic Bag build. This was such a cool innovation using skills like Last Man Standing to make even the med bag feel worthwhile, uploaded at a time when everyone else was firmly locked into the Armor Bag Andy mainframe, and is also well worth trying out even though it isn't receiving a direct spotlight in today's video. That said, you know what is finally getting its time in the sun post-launch? My most requested setup you guys have seen in gameplay since before Payday 3 even came out, the endless Moscone build. Conceptually, the idea behind this one is to leverage the ammo funnel and replenish skills alongside one of the highest spike damage weapons in the game to one-shot virtually every enemy type without ever needing downtime to reload. This build is exceptionally dominant at the moment, given that most heists in the game are relatively close quarters and small in scope, enabling shotguns like the Moscone to dominate in their natural habitat. Even better, spawns in Payday 3 are specifically designed to move around so they're always in close proximity to the active heisters, meaning even on expansive heists like Golden Shark, this setup is still a perfect fit. Of course, we start with the Moscone 12 gauge itself, equipped with the range barrel, compact RDS just for its reduced gun kick as we'll never actually aim down sights with this thing, CQC stock for switch speed, and the stub grip for tighter hipfire spread. In the secondary slot, we run the J&M Castigo revolver with the range barrel, box RDS sight, biofit grip and parted compensator. Alongside these weapons we run the armor bag, flashbang grenade, red fox overkill weapon, and then either medium or light ballistic lining as I value speed slightly higher on shotgun builds. Take your pick from the tool category, I like motion sensors and infrasonic mines usually. As for the skills, we pick up Ammo Specialist alongside Scrounger for more flashbangs as they can help you compensate for your limited range. Then we move down to Mower with Ammo Funnel and Replenish for the endless shotgun combo, turning the Moscone into much more than just a double barrel shotgun. For our armor, we grab Tank, extra plates and armor up, then in Sharpshooter it's just Cutting Shot for that armor penetration. Here I grab extra munitions in the Demolitionist line to increase my supply of flashbangs to 5. Then I pick up Enforcer, Quick Reload, Face to Face as this 10% damage boost can actually push you over one-shot thresholds for once, before grabbing Quick Reload and Shock and Awe as a somewhat unconventional form of survivability. We ace out Gunslinger, one of the build's key skills, alongside From the Hip, Heavy Hipfire, and finish off the build with Quick Draw to make activating Edge even more seamless. The Moscone is a serious monster with its ability to one-shot body shot at close range, but when even that fails and you find yourself outranged or outmuscled by sheer numbers, you can switch over to the all-powerful Castigo revolver to fan the hammer with its almost perfect hipfire accuracy. After all this time speculating on the best weapon in the game, was it the SAA-144 or the VF-7S? Well, my new conclusion is that it's simply the Castigo. With the right build, this thing can one-shot everything it needs to, is insanely ammo efficient, which makes it ludicrously strong alongside Ammo Funnel and Replenish, and has pretty much unmatched weapon feel. It really is the perfect sidearm, acting like a pocket marksman rifle, allowing us to switch between both weapons fluidly, which is exactly how Gunslinger builds are meant to be played. Whilst it isn't as ineffable as my best build at launch setup, as one-shot kill AR builds offer the same stopping power just at any range, I think it's better insulated from future potential nerfs, and is just way more fun to run around with in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, it's still comfortably strong enough to tackle overkill without too many issues, being one of the few non-stealth specific setups where I use armor that isn't the heavy ballistic lining, preferring lighter options for their superior movement speed and regen time. Okay, if you like that first one, you'll love what's coming next, as this build is absolutely insane. Payday 3 has undoubtedly targeted a greater level of realism within its world and heists, for better or for worse, with the addition of more realistic hostage situation protocol and real-world deterrents to crime, such as jewelry store laser etching or bank vault die packs. The collateral damage in this search for Hollywood realism has been all the crazy Payday 2 builds that wouldn't be ideal for robbing a bank, but were still a ton of fun to play. Think grey sniper rifles, crossbow heisting, or even 30-mile-per-hour dodge builds. These are the casualties of the game's more grounded approach. But that doesn't mean we can't still get a little wild with a playstyle that even Payday 2 didn't accommodate for. How does throwing an almost endless supply of frag grenades at your feet and taking exactly 0 damage from the blast sound? Good? Well then, this is the build for you. A simple combination of Overcooked, Gunslinger, Move and Cover, and Blast Shield can make your frags more effective whilst remaining completely resistant to them yourself, giving you the recipe for one of the most damaging builds in the game and enabling you to effortlessly shut down most SWAT spawns. This one nullifies Explosives' main downside completely, that being their insane self-damage radius, but do watch out for those pesky dozers as they don't take too kindly with all their mates blowing up around them. When it comes to setting this one up, you have a fair bit of weapon choice freedom, but I'm rocking the VF7S with the Sheath RDS, Cylindric Silencer, CQC Barrel, Biofit Grip, Compact Mag as it massively increases the amount of ammo this thing can carry, alongside the HQ Stock and Quick Hold Grip. In my secondary slot I run the Strike 7 pistol just because of how spammy it can be with its massive extended magazine, Obelisk Silencer, Box RDS Scope, and Grain Grip. For once, we'll be disrupting the armor meta by actually grabbing the ammo bag deployable, of course the frag grenade throwable, Markham Mamba overkill weapon, and heavy ballistic lining. As ever, the tool is totally up to you, but the infrasonic mine does have some nice synergy with this build. The magic here though really occurs within the skill setup. We start with Ammo Specialist into Scrounger, fully loaded and top up to massively expand our replenishable pool of grenades. Then we move down to Mower for Replenish, just to make this one more sustainable from range, alongside Sprint Loaded, purely to augment the painfully slow reload speed of the Mamba grenade launcher. In the Infiltrator tree, we grab the underrated Frugal Thrower to move the RNG needle slightly in our favour, as well as the necessary tank and armour up skills to not be a major drain on team resources. In Escapist, we just pick up the titular skill and Move and Cover to activate the Grit combo, before moving on to the frag-focused Demolitionist skill lines with Blast Shield, Overcooked, and Extra Munitions. If you haven't tried Overcooked on the Markham Mamba yet, don't judge it too harshly. Next, we equip Enforcer, Quick Reload, and Combat Reload as a secondary method to retain Grit and Edge, finishing off the build with Gunslinger and Quick Draw to enable it. When it comes to making use of the most unconventional build in the game, there are 2 primary playstyle adaptations you'll need to make. The first is to search for easily vaultable objects, allowing you to activate Move and Cover whenever you want, for a constantly replenishable source of grit, and the second is to almost constantly be switching weapons so that Gunslinger is proccing, not only to enable Move and Cover's edge to grit conversion, but also to make sure you have edge up just as frequently to keep Replenish and Scrounger active, enabling you to throw more grenades without having to load back up at the ammo bag. This can be a little fiddly. Keep in mind that when you do have full ammo in your primary and secondary, you will no longer pick up ammo drops, meaning you'll start running out of grenades. Hence why we use the VF7S with the compact mag attachment to increase carry capacity, facilitating this strategy and making it work uninterrupted for longer. Regardless though, it's important to shoot your weapons from time to time just to empty out your ammo reserves. Also, dozers really can be a problem for this build as they're incredibly resistant to non-ballistic damage, meaning you'll want to make use of your actual guns when up against them. One of my favourite strategies with this setup is just to run right up to a large group so that they're no more than 5 meters away, frag the ground next to yourself using up Blast Shield, but instantly reactivating Grit due to Enforcer's close range kill effect, creating a chain of indestructible floor frags. As a support build when playing online, at first people will question if you're cheating, but will quickly come to be appreciative of your crowd control capabilities, locking down spawns and granting the rest of your crew far more space to operate and focus down objectives. Hell, this setup even makes the Piglet feel viable, being yet another source of explosions when you start to run out of frags. But being totally honest, the Red Fox might be a better choice just to deal with dozers, bearing in mind you'll have at least 35 frags to throw out even if you just rely on your own ammo supply and never replenish any passively. But this is such a massive departure from the standard Payday 3 playstyle that it might be just what you need to freshen up that gameplay experience. The last build I'm showcasing today is a real change of pace from the other 2, moving from high-octane double barrels and explosions to possibly the laziest and most passive setup I've ever played around with. This is the Human Riot Shield build, allowing you to hold onto a hostage endlessly whilst covering your teammates and sitting back to allow the massively underrated sentry gun to do all the killing for you. Once again, this build is made possible by a simple skill synergy. By combining Sharpshooter, CQC Specialist Ace, and Combat Reload, we can seamlessly activate Grit and Edge whilst also having endless uptime on those buffs. When you pair this with Solid, a skill that makes you immune to stagger with Grit and Edge active, you create an unbreakable combo that allows you to hold onto a hostage even when the cops charge you down with melee. Only flashbangs, cloakers, and tasers can break through this skill, and as long as you actively deal with those threats, you can virtually turn on God mode just by putting your back up against a wall, as cops won't shoot you from the front whilst holding a hostage. The utility of this effect is incredible, especially when playing with a team, and sentries are just the icing on the cake to add a little DPS and firepower so the rest of your crew don't get overrun. Here's how we build it. Personally, I'm running the Rheinfeld 900S just to compensate for my range problems, and honestly, because it's the last weapon I still have challenges for. I run it with the fluted marksman scope, CQC barrel, lightweight stock, and torque silencer, but don't stress this primary slot, use whatever you enjoy in there. For my secondary weapon, I run the Castigo again, simply because it's just the best in slot weapon in my opinion. I mod this build's version slightly differently with the TAC barrel, LED RDS sight, biofit grip, and compact compensator. Avoiding the armor meta like the plague, we rock the sentry turret deployable, flashbangs, red fox overkill weapon, heavy ballistic lining, and again, any tool you fancy. Once again, we're picking up Mower and Replenish, as well as Tank and Armor Up, some of the only skills that have made it into all three builds. Alongside these, we equip Sharpshooter, Long Shot, Cutting Shot, and Speed Aim to improve the Castigo's one-shot potential and make it more functional whilst holding a body shield. Then we move into Enforcer, Quick Reload, Solid, the linchpin of this build, and Combat Reload. Next it's Manipulator with the sole purpose of securing Menacing, and then onto Engineer to ace out the primary skill before picking up AP Turret, Cooling System, and Dual Sentries. Rounding off the build with CQC Specialist Ace for Grit every time we grab a human shield. So obviously, as with the Moscone build, the Castigo with Grit and Cutting Shot can one-shot kill most units, meaning even outside of the build's primary concept, you're still a fairly impactful member of any squad. Your range will be a little limited, hence why I rock the Sniper to counter-snipe or one-shot shields should the need arise. Conceptually though, you shouldn't need to worry about targeting anything. Instead, your priority should be to secure a hostage early on and hold them in the general direction of any cop spawns. One of Payday 3's most impactful changes is to how the enemy AI reacts to seeing these targets. They will stop firing altogether from the front, will pull out their secondary pistols if they're shotgun units, and will also often try to rush the body shield holding target to separate them from their hostage. As already mentioned, that won't be possible for them with Solid active, meaning you can easily dispatch of these guys one by one. Just make sure you keep shooting occasional shots and reloading to reset the 20-second timer on your buffs. Your team will also feel the impact of the body shield demanding SWAT attention, giving them more space to operate in, this time by acting as a distraction instead of just blowing up their spawns. Should you ever run out of civs for any reason, you have two available methods to grab more hostages from the police population. One is via flashbangs, although you'll only have access to 3 of these across the entire heist, and the other is the Menacing skill, allowing you to force a single regular SWAT unit to surrender to you. Unfortunately, unlike civilian hostages, your crew AI and sentries might accidentally clip body shield SWAT units, adding another potential pitfall to this strategy that breaks through Solid. But even so, having the constant supply is well worth it if your team starts trading for resources. Also, if you just stand behind your sentries instead of in front of them, they can almost single-handedly carry a heist, holding down entire rooms with relative ease and making the crew AI look like amateurs. And remember, this stagger resistance isn't limited to regular cop melee. It prevents shields from bashing you, and most importantly, foils dozers completely, as they'll run into you and your body shield like you're a brick wall. Recoiling backwards and giving you plenty of time to unload a full clip into their faceplates, actively trivializing one of the toughest enemy types in the game as they really struggle to flank around you. Overall, whilst this is the most passive playstyle I've shown, and you can feasibly go AFK on a staircase if you want, I've also found it to be one of the most engaging to actually play, with far more micromanagement and tactical gameplay than what Payday 3 generally encourages. Again, a huge change of pace, but actually one of the most compelling and enjoyable builds I've ever played with that might just be making a reappearance in my next Payday 3 challenge run. That's it for those 3 unique builds. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'm hopefully back to normal service now on the channel. For those who don't follow me on Twitter, I mentioned that I lost a very dear loved one last week, so this has been a bit of a cathartic release to get back to some sense of normality. I know many of you have taken a break from Payday 3 until the update, but this video was scheduled to go out before it all happened, so going back and actually following through with it was as much for me as it was for you. I appreciate all your kind messages and support, as well as your understanding on this one. YouTube is an escape for many, myself included, so I hate to drag anyone's mood down, but I do want to make it clear that I value each and every one of you watching this video tremendously. Thanks again, take care, I'll see you all very soon. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.